Hello and welcome to this lecture. This lecture will talk about Git and a version control in general and why do you need it in your day-to-day software development lifecycle. So Git is a popular version control system developed by Linus Torvalds. He is the original author of Linux operating system as well. And back then, when he was looking for a version control system which will allow him certain features such as distributed storage, very fast compression algorithm, and a lot of other features which were missing in other existing open source tools that time, most popularly SVN. So now he wrote for Git, and now Git has become a de facto version control system across the industry. And whenever if someone is new and you see Git and GitHub, sometimes you get confused. Is it the same or different? Remember, Git is a software, is an application. On the other hand, GitHub is a service provider, a company which gives you a Git as a SaaS service. There are many other providers like that. Example, Jira, Atlassian, they provide Bitbucket as a solution. You have Azure DevOps, you have GitLab, Gitorious, many other projects are available which gives you similar feature. Among them, GitHub is most popular in open source ecosystem. Now let's check why we need a version control system. When you start writing code, you need to have some history and revision to see and go back in time where you can see the code. So that version where you will store the code is called repository. And that is where you store the code and have a revision of a history. Take an example here. You have two developers. Both are working on a same piece of project or probably a same folder or if even a file. And if I have to remember what I did yesterday, day before yesterday, one way will be I create different folder for each day. And the same thing will be done by the second developer. Guess what? The problem is when these two developers want to merge their code and want to deliver something onto production, it is almost impossible to do that. Manually, it's a very time consuming and difficult and often leads to a lot of error. So any kind of a distributed version control system, what it allows you, something like this. If you're writing a code, it will have a snapshot of a code. When you see a git commit is essentially a snapshot of the code. And you can go back in time and see what you did when you did. And that allows you to have a very good tight control on what is going on and you can actually solve the issues. So quick check, version control system, what it is to track your code history and also collaborate with team. How do you collaborate with team? Example, in today's world, in a development ecosystem, you have very geographically or different way of diverse team where people are committing code from all the places. What you need to have a central repository where you can store the code and you can collaborate with people. Example, developer A try to push the code here and developer B want to actually see the code, what was committed by this person onto this. So what they can do, they can pull their code into their folder and then do the necessary changes and back and forth. That allows a very collaborative distributed code. But the key benefit of having a distributed version control system is that none of them are actually controlling. Even though you have a centralized server such as GitHub or any storing the code, but for some reason, if GitHub is unavailable, you do not lose access to the code. Code is sitting on your laptop as well. So example, assume a case where assume GitHub suddenly disappeared for there is an outage for a couple of hours. You can continue to work on your local repository and possibly all other developers can do. And whenever GitHub comes back online, you should be able to push back and forth. Again, you can host your own local as well, local GitHub repository as well. So in a nutshell, what is Git? Is a free and open source version control system, is a super fast and mostly adapted and highly scalable. And the biggest and foremost thing, today if you're looking at the job market, pretty much every resume of a developer, DevOps engineer, ML engineer, Git has become a de facto skill set needed. So Git is a something very essential you need to know, and that will help you actually in a long term. So now, before we even begin to start doing it, let's check something. How would you use Git? Git you can use in a primarily in three ways. One is a command line interface, which is CLI, which is the most popular and common one. Another one is IDE, example Visual Studio Code. I'll be using Visual Studio Code throughout this assign about the lecture. And web interface, you can directly modify from the GitHub interface. So take an example. If you want to do using command line, you will be using something like that. You do git clone and you're changing your going to the folder and you can see what is going on. But if you are scared of command line, you don't need to worry about it, because not everybody is good at command line if you are not coming from Linux background. So we got you covered. Relax. We will be using Visual Studio Code. It is a most of a graphical interface will give you to do all your code. So, and in next session, we will do Git installation and other procedure.